Dallas, thanks for being here, man. I really don't think you need an introduction. I think a lot of people already know who you are and they're keen on checking this out. What's it like to be on tour now with your family? You know what I mean? Doing all these playing shows and essentially going from soldier to rock star, and now you get to bring your family along. What's that like?
I love it, man. There's a ton of stuff I think that it's funny. I always talk about it, and people assume it's a very, very, very different job than the military. And in a lot of ways, it is. The forward-facing side of it is social media and actually playing music, but everything else around it, it was like I was training for it my whole life. All the logistics of touring and road moves and flights and plans and moving people and gear and equipment, it's like it's almost second nature now. And I think without having that, it could be really overwhelming. But now that I'm used to doing that kind of stuff, I love it. Get to bring my family around where it makes sense and where the travel is good and be on the road, and it's cool.
So there's a equal sort of proportion of supporters around, more or less, that able to sort of make it happen with all the moving the equipment and booking flights and booking hotels and road moves and everything.
Yeah, totally. I've got a great team right now, but it's still I've yet to really relinquish control of everything. I dream of one day being that artist where they're just like, hey, show up here at this time. And I just show up and not know what's going on. But I like double and triple check everything and timings and road moves.
I think by then you'll be in like a bedazzled leather jacket and
Yeah, bedazzled tour bus.
Yeah, man, like something that I guess I'll parallel with myself, like getting out for me, as sort of messy and ugly as it was similar for you in a different way. But did you have any trouble with sort of your identity? You know what I mean? Getting out, is like you'd probably identified as this elite soldier, sniper, you know what I mean, for a long time. You know what I mean? Lots of deployments, front facing, you know what I mean? Tip of the spear type thing. And then finding a new you, moving into a new career. Did you plan on going into music, or how did that happen?
I went through the identity change while I was still in the unit, really. On the tail end of my military career, like this is the last like few years, really, even before kind of that COVID stuff kicked in and got crazy. I was starting to play music, and I was playing a ton of bar shows. Like I would go play for like 3 hours at whatever local pub would have me, and then go to work the next day at Dwyer Hill. And I was doing that like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 nights a week. And I felt like I was pulling to get away. And finally they just like cut the chain. And so I was off and running with a new identity. And I've always appreciated my time in the military and enjoyed my time at the unit for the most part, but I was like ready to rock and roll. So when I left, I was like, oh, I'm a songwriter, and I had a new identity, and I was off and running.
So were you like all over Ottawa, sort of Greeley area?
Kind of anywhere. I mean, it was mostly west because I played country music, so it'd be all Lanark County and out to as far as wherever I could get, like, and still be relatively inside our recall bubble. That's where I was playing, any pub or lounge or bar or whatever that would hire me.
Did you ever have a moment where you were recalled and you had to come in from a night from
while I was playing? No, not while I was like halfway through a set.
Sorry, folks, gotta cut this one short.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I didn't know that you had already been doing that. That's really interesting that you kind of, that the transition had already started for you and the identity piece was already making that shift.
Yeah, it was in 2019 that I decided I'm going to be a songwriter. I started going to open mics until I could play enough songs, and then booking bars and stuff like that. So
did you grow up playing in a band or instruments?
I played. I didn't play anything really, but I sang in a high school like alternative rock band for a little while with some buddies, and it was super fun. I always loved music, but I just like, it never crossed my mind really, outside of when we were young. Oh, you could be a rock star, to like, oh, you can actually like have a job and career and something that's cool, and you can be passionate about it anywhere past high school in my adult life. So I like played hockey, eventually joined the military. I had a guitar in the house, but I never really learned how to play it. And then a bunch of things kind of collided in my life where I decided I wanted to be a songwriter. I just went about learning whatever the hell that means.
So how long did it take you to learn guitar? Like, that's not an easy instrument to pick up and just figure out.
Well, I looked at it like learning how to shoot the pistol, because I never really knew how to shoot a pistol before I got to the unit, and I got pretty okay at it. and it was just reps and reps and reps and around. So I like just walked around my house strumming my guitar all day and all night. You can ask my wife; she heard all the worst versions of every song I could play. Um, and I was just like, all right, I just got to get to it. Just put in the work, put in the hours, put in the work, put in the hours. It was just every single day. I still play every day. I still have a ton to learn. There's guitar players that really, really kick ass, and it's an inspiring group of people to be around down in Nashville. It's just everyone, you always want to be getting better. So it's just the time and the repetition.
How long have you been down in Nashville, and like what's your sort of plan or program to stay there? And that's obviously the epicenter of country music in the US.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
obviously what brought you there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been going down for like the last 3 years. We were just trying to figure out the timestamp on this. So that my first trip was when I did the Sean Ryan podcast, and I was down there to do some co-writing. And then kept going back, almost if I wasn't on tour, I was down there every month, just trying to build a network and meet people. And then we just moved down at the beginning of last year and spent the entire year there. Mind you, I toured a bunch too, so I wasn't there nearly as much as I thought I would be. But yeah, the plan is to always either be right in Nashville, somewhere around there, getting land and a house. But we'll be connected back and forth with Canada. Like we're back and forth a lot of touring in Canada right now. We tour in the States, and it's just kind of be another home away from home.
How do you manage the, I guess, residency portion of that? Did you go down as a E2, I think it is, talented sort of visa that's able to keep you there, and you live there?
Yeah, so all the first trips were just for songwriting. We weren't playing any shows really, so income didn't matter. And the last 2 years while we were touring in the States, we got a P2 visa. And so it's an artist visa. You can play, I think they were each a year long, and we'll be on our third one this year. There's some other options too that we're looking at, but that one, it's relatively easy and we know the process. So I just keep renewing that thing, and you can add shows and book shows and play as much as you want.
Interesting, because I've been looking at my, like I was just telling you earlier, I spent most of the winter in the US, and I was kind of joking that if I'd overstayed because it got kind of close to the wire of that 180-day limit, and I was kind of joking with some people that
you get iced up, bro.
Yeah. Like ICE was gonna come looking for like a pale Canadian to boot him out of there. But no, I love the US, and I think this anti sort of US Trump derangement syndrome is out of control, and like
I've just had a bunch of conversations about that, and I'm like, if you just put your phone away and go visit the US, you're going to find that it's just like here. People think everyone's so fucking crazy or divided or whatever. Like I tour for a living now, so I talk to everyone, and most people are just nice people, regardless of what they believe politically, all this stuff. They just want to like have a good life, take care of their family. However they look at the world might be a little bit differently, but it's the phone that is the problem. It's like barely even society. But yeah, the US is amazing, man. And I'd say to everyone, like that entire country is built on like this kind of capitalistic view of things where you can go start a company in the US. You can do it without a social security number. You can do it without anything. And that will give you a business. It'll give you a tax number. You can get a phone. You can have a reason to travel. There's all kinds of foreign people that own corporations in the US, and anyone can go start that. If you're looking for some, way to be tied in, do business in a freer market, there's all kinds of options.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. My time down there, I made some great friends. I got teased for my accent. I guess I don't hear it, but they definitely do. And I agree with everything you just said. And people really do need to kind of separate themselves from the rectangle of anxiety that they carry around nonstop, and it just adds to unnecessary division. And yeah, man, you articulated it quite well. Kind of in that same vein, do you still pay attention to like what's going on in Canada and the Canadian military or that? Do you disassociate, or is that still on your radar?
I have disassociated as much as possible, and yet still I hear I don't understand. It must be the group of friends that I allow to send me shit or something, because I feel like I still know all the current events even without going to look for them or chase them up. They always somehow come across, whether it's my algorithm, even though I try to spend very little time on social media if I'm not actually posting for my business and for music. Like I have a thought in my brain where I want to like create more than I consume when it comes to social media, and that's just because I have a music brand to build. But still, somehow, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm on top of most things unintentionally. They find their way in.
It's yeah, I totally get. I don't do the social media thing really at all. That might change kind of where this thing is. This TPL gig has been steering. Everyone's been really good, and some of the interviews have been getting really good traction. Hence, you know what I mean, being able to talk to you right now. But the most of the messages that I get and the conversations that I have with guys that are still in or guys that are on their way out or whatever is like just sort of embarrassment. There's this sort of woke social justice DEI cloud now that kind of sits on top of everything. Whereas the guys that I tended to surround myself with were hard charging, high performing guys with ambition that wanted to go do this specialization or this deployment or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, I had a guy confide in me. This is a couple years ago that he was sitting in a meeting as they were going over like a merit board or whatever for promotions. And he was literally told by one of I believe it was a colonel, that like we were not going to promote the guy because he was a white guy. And it's like, we need this female, you know what I mean, Buddhist, vegan, or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever, insert thing. And there, he's like, man, I don't know how to compartmentalize this. Like I signed up here to be sort of doing this job, and it just becomes sort of expectation management, sort of dumpster fire for the last few years. And I don't know if this is going to change. And I don't know if you can comment on that. But guys are like really struggling, the guys that I know.
Yeah. I mean, I get the same from some people that are still in that I chat with or even at shows. And I think right now the problem is the military in Canada, like Canada has gotten what it asked for in terms of who they voted in. And then obviously the people that are voted in are putting into position or putting these changes from their position into the forces to represent like the virtue signaling that they like to do all over the world. So they're like, well, let's use our armed forces as this extension of our virtue signaling. And it's changed to the point like, this is why you have commanders like crying about racism. Like you want to talk about putting a foot forward where like the picture you're representing is a total weakness. And I'm not saying don't cry. I'm not even saying don't talk about racism, but don't have like the military is something different. The military is a fighting force. And I don't think ours is capable of fighting right now. There's people within it that are capable of fighting, but we do not have a capable fighting force. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and even the special operations have been like beaten down so much. There was a gigantic weeding out process like we talked about earlier through all of the COVID stuff. There's like this if you don't listen to us kind of thing and you don't want to do what we say in terms of what the government is doing, like people are getting kicked out. We have now the fighting force that we asked for. And
we made our bed.
Yeah. But what I keep saying to people, and I get asked this, I've thousands of times I've been asked, like, should I still join? In my opinion, service like to your community or your country is still important and it still needs good people. It's going to be an uphill battle for a while. And will it ever change? I mean, I'd like to hope it does. I mean, at some point, I don't know. I don't think we can go down the path we're on right now and still call it a military, no matter how much we increase our spending by. But I'm hopeful that it'll change. We just need good people to keep doing it.
No, man, I agree with all of that too. It's I did a show not long ago that landed on the radar of some folks that are still in, some that are out, very high ranking senior officers that reached out to me to say, hey, like, you're kind of wrong on this. You're kind of right on this. You don't even know how accurate you are on this. And long conversations kind of spooled into basically being confided by, again, very senior officers. I was a junior officer my whole life. Like what my administrative and, you know what I mean, officer abilities like contained in a small brown bag. And these guys are 25 years in kind of thing. And they're telling me that the current CDS, again, this is allegedly told to me, the current CDS, Kerrigan and Jenny, who I actually met in Iraq, and I can tell that story later if it's necessary, but she failed her interview. Like there's a vetting process for the CDS that you have to hit certain metrics and a checklist, and you're then basically appointed, you know what I mean, based on your scoring merit-wise compared to your peers. And she failed, but she was installed anyway.
Yeah.
because Trudeau was on record sort of as saying like we're going to put a female in there. And then I'm saying to this person on the phone like, well, like why did we do, and the person asked not to be identified obviously, and then said there were other women in the mix for this role, like the most important senior officer in the military, the essentially a politician in the military,
Yeah.
and other women had scored higher, but I guess didn't check as many boxes. Like I don't know, but all that I'm saying is that it's exactly what you said. Like it's gotten to this sort of scary level where is it still a military? Like I'm not sure. It's kind of this organized club of people who, you know what I mean, go camping with guns. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that's in the reserves, like we called it kind of camping with guns, because you could go off for a weekend exercise and your phone wouldn't even die by the time you were
Yeah.
done, kind of thing. But yeah, man, no, I think that that's an important insight that you gave. And if you're okay with it, I kind of want to bring it back a little bit to what we talked about earlier when you were sort of pushing back, and how many people, I don't know, like I'm not asking you to chuck anyone under the bus, and we can derail this instantly if it's no
Sure.
bueno, but like
Yeah.
when you were going through your stuff, and I think people are curious because it seemed like you were being portrayed with all this, the nonsense letter by the JAG that went out that's just highly embarrassing, of like a Canadian lawyer asking an American to abide by Canadian jurisdictional laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
pretty dumb and silly.
In
But
Freedomville, Tennessee. Yeah.
yeah, but the PR sort of agenda for this was that you were the outlier, you were the outcast, like everyone was on board with this, you were the only one who wasn't, but
Yeah.
maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, it's 100% not the case. What we were talking about earlier, just, I mean, most of the guys I worked with every day were snipers. And I would say, I always go back to this cliche, like, I'm pulled in, we have to pick a team to go do some crazy mission. It's a Hollywood movie, and I have to hand select who I'm going with. All of the people that I pick are out of the military. All of the people that I pick left because of the same reason I did, and they were all snipers. So there's a collection of dudes all across this country right now that were the hardest dudes I've ever worked with, the smartest, the most talented snipers I've ever seen in my life, far better than myself. And those would be the people that I would pick, and none of them are in, and they're not in because of all of this shit that happened with COVID. At the time, the Cypress Shroop was the highest like percentage of people that were like, yeah, we don't believe in any of this. And some people still did it, and some people didn't. But it was spread out throughout the unit, that same opinion. Like it's easy to see that. Like I went to the doctor and I just asked for medical advice. I was like, look, here's all of the things that I've had happen in my career, from brain injury to all the different things, like the heavy metals in my blood and all. You know my file. Here it is. How does this medication interact with any of those issues? And he's like, well, we don't know. I'm like, then how can you tell me that it's safe? He's like, well, it's safe and effective. It's like, okay, I've heard that. That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking for medical advice. I'm like, Tylenol's not safe for everyone. Peanut butter's not safe for everyone. Like, this is not, I'm just asking you, because like when I look at this and these things, I'm like, the category I'm in is a young, fit person. And it feels like there could be some heart issues on the side of this that might not be there if I just, get COVID and get over it. But it's like having any of these conversations with people where just like, they look at you like, oh,
was this a Dwyer Hill doctor?
Yeah.
Someone at the unit? Okay.
And so I got a medical exemption for it, but they wouldn't recognize it. I talked to a different doctor outside of our base, and like, yeah, we're not recognizing that. So the day I got kicked out, like we were talking about this earlier, I was going to a meeting for them just to tell me why they weren't recognizing my exemptions. And that was just the last day I was ever allowed at Dwyer Hill.
Was it literally like you had this confrontation with senior leadership, you were escorted out, give us your badge, like you're not back here ever?
They didn't even, so I drove, like my sergeant major of my squadron brought me this meeting. And this is where I had the confrontation with the RSM. And this was over wearing a mask. And then when I left that building, my squadron sergeant major was like, okay, well, you probably should go home. I'm like, all right, well, see you tomorrow. I left, and then when I came back, because I still had like all my gear was there. Like I'd been at the Hill for almost 14 years, and I was a sniper, a diver, a climber, surveillance troop, and like a backup breacher. So I had like the amount of gear you have is astronomical. So I had like all this stuff. My stall had been there for, almost 14 years. And it's like, okay, well, I knew I was leaving because I was on a medical leave path anyway. As soon as all this stuff happened, I took the first off ramp I could find. I was going through all this stuff. So I went back and my pass just never worked again. I couldn't get in. So I contacted my like troop board.
Did
And they're like, yeah,
did you
you
actually
can't come
show
back to
up?
camp. Yeah,
Did
I
you
went
actually
back.
show up to the gate and your pass
Yeah,
just
just like
said,
beep boop, like it made like you can't do it.
"Oh
So
my
I
God."
called and they're like, yeah, you're not allowed back on camp. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll be at home then.
Holy moly. So you didn't really even know at all that this
Mm.
was going on sort of in the
No, they
background.
were not like, hey, you're kicked off and you can never come back. It was like they probably didn't want any more confrontation. It's just like turn off
Yeah,
that
yeah,
pass. I'll let the guy
yeah,
back in.
yeah, 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 fair enough. So what did you just went home and then like awaited for sort
Yeah,
of
and
further
it was just
instruction?
like via text messages on Signal, I like did out clearance essentially. Some
Oh my
people would
God.
visit my house, like, oh, where's this piece of gear? Where's that? We're turning all your kit in. And this is like over months now. And I just remember I was like, I know how the military works, dude. I have not been there to do my 100% every Friday. So who's been doing my 100%? Uh, well, if it wasn't done, how am I supposed to keep track of my equipment? Do you have any cameras on my stall? No, you don't. Anyone could have took it anywhere. So they're like,
Mhm.
where's this piece of thing? I'm like, you tell me. I no longer give a fuck. Like,
That's wild, man. I didn't know any of that. Um,
it's a funny time.
like I sort of vaguely remember the shape of an area of the sniper cell building that was near kind of sort of near the training squadron stuff that I spent most of my time in. Can you talk at all about like what goes on in there? Is there an indoor range? Like are guys actually
Well,
able
it's
to
been
shoot in?
disbanded now. It's been disbanded because
What does that mean?
like sniper troop is not a thing anymore at JTF2. It was the goal for a while. So it's an interesting thing because it was always the envy of other units in the Five Eyes sniper group. So like every time we trained with Delta or SEAL Team 6 or the SAS guys or the Aussie or New Zealand, like they wanted to have a sniper troop like we had because it's basically just all the snipers have stalls and offices together. You still attach to squadrons and go do whatever tasks overseas and you're under whatever ground force commander or task force commander, like you're still an asset, but you're not in the squadron. So every time you come back from deployment, come back from training, all this stuff, you're going to the same area with other snipers. And when you're in the area training, you can take all that information from all the different experiences you've had and different equipment you tried or you ran into or came across, and it just made the program better and better and better and better. And that was like the value in it, is going back to that group of specialists and doing it. And there's specialists all over the units with climbers and divers and stuff, but they're normally spread out. So like they'll try and have, let's say, a climbing symposium once a year with all the climbing debts from the other squadrons. But for us, that was it all the time. We were always coming back with information from the last training session or deployment and building this program that just got better and better. And that's no longer a thing now.
Am I allowed to ask, does that have anything to do with the number of people that are no longer there?
I think it has to do with the fact that it's always been a little bit of like a outlier group of dudes, a little bit wilder, a little bit like there's no officer in charge of sniper troop. So there's an admin officer, but there's no like squadron. Well, the squadron that we were in had a squadron commander, but like we didn't have what would be like a platoon commander. Do you know what I mean? It was all there's for one, I think that rubbed some officers the wrong way that there was no officer in charge of all these fucking yahoos. And it was historically the most aggressive, like hard charging dudes were there. And things like the opinions around COVID and stuff, like when most of the pushback was coming from one small cell of people, I think it was more like, okay, let's just fucking spread these guys out and get them under the control of some squadron commander instead of having them run their own stuff or whatever. But I mean, the proof is in, like, we had an incredible product. Like we broke the world record for a reason. And it wasn't just because us four guys were in that country. That was a sniper program that had been built for years and years. And just pushing the limit, pushing the limit, pushing the limit. Any group from our unit that would have been in that same position would have broke the world record, and they would have broke it 5 or 10 times like we did in a week. But that was because of all the guys there that cared and worked hard and pushed and moved the yardstick forward every time we deployed or trained.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't know if it was going to get there, but it's, as an outsider looking in, what's it like? You know what I mean? When you're firing from that distance, you're doing your corrections. You know what I mean? You've got a guy who's, I guess, a relatively static target. I guess he would have to be from that distance. Like I think the rumor was that the flight path or the flight time of the bullet was like around 10 seconds. It was so far. Can you walk me? Can you walk me through sort of how that went, if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? You spot the guy and then you're pulling the trigger. Like, what happens in between?
Yeah, we were in this position in a hotel in downtown Mosul. So it's like the top of the Nineveh Hotel. And it's like a bombed out shell of a building. It's not really there's no room service. But we were there observing for a long time, on and off on that tour for, I think, 52 or 54 days. But what we were waiting for is the Iraqis to push into like old downtown Mosul. That was the last big stronghold of ISIS. And they'd been like, they're pretty dug in. Like, they'd been there a while. You're looking at like tight quarters, street fighting. So they're like hesitant. I get it. But once they started pushing, that's when we started engaging with our 50s. And that particular shot is, we were shooting at guys that were firing at the Iraqis from like behind this car. And they went into a building. And so we called an airstrike, but it was a dud, which all the airstrikes we ever called, I'd never seen a dud, like a missile not go off. So we saw it land, strike, nothing happened. And so the first shot was a guy was climbing out of the second story, because I can't imagine what it sounded like inside that building, but he was trying to get out, and he like lowered his gear from the second story. You see he lowered his AK and he like climbed down. So that gave us enough time to be like, okay, here's the target, and send it. It ended up being a simultaneous shot because we had 2 sniper teams. And we did not plan that, but it was just like, send it, and they did. So we actually don't know whose round it was. We say it was ours, they say it was theirs.
Of course.
But it gave us enough time, because by the time he climbed down and he hit the ground, he reached down to pick up his gear. It like hit him through the back and rolled down the hill and died. And then from there, it was just like they were all over the place. So we just kept at it. And the fight was perpendicular, but kind of angled, where it was slightly getting closer to us. So I think I said this on a couple podcasts, but I bet you we broke the previous record probably 5 or 6 times, like in that week.
With just other dudes that didn't make the front page of.
Yeah, it was just like, we never really thought anything of it because it wasn't the furthest one anymore. And then thinking back on it, I was like, fuck, I should have kept a better log of it. I might even still have videos somewhere where I'm like, that was number 1. This was number 2. This was number 3.
So Canada actually has like 8 or 9 of the top 10 records then, potentially.
That would be my estimation. I mean,
let's go on record as calling that out right now.
But yeah, I think we're about 8 of the top 10.
That sounds about right to me. And like I got sort of a very rudimentary training in pendems and ballistics and that sort of stuff. But from that distance, as an expert, as a subject matter expert here, like, is the bullet tumbling because it's been traveling that far?
It's in subsonic. It wouldn't necessarily be tumbling, but it wouldn't be as like, the flight path is not as consistent in this. You can tell just by like the holds and how fast it's dropping when you're in subsonic like travel at that point. So it's not like fully tumbling, you know, like head over heels as you would picture a bullet going, but there's a lot more instability in its flight path.
Okay, and you're able to see it through a spotting scope. The path of travel is sort of. I got a little bit of experience long distance shooting.
You can to a certain distance, yeah, like the swirl. Okay. You can see it to a certain distance. Yeah. The problem with a shot at 3.5 kilometers is the culmination point of the bullet is outside of your scope. So like
because the arc of the shot is so high.
Yeah, but you're essentially, when you're dialing your scope, what you're doing is adjusting the eye relief. So your gun is pointing higher and higher and higher, because you're kind of lobbing the shot in at this point. So the culmination point of the bullet, like the highest point it reaches, is outside of your spotting scope field of view. it's like hundreds of feet in the air.
That's crazy. And then it's just like one Mississippi, two Mississippi.
Yeah, and you're looking for impact, and then you're like,
and this
if it's
guy's on the ground with his rope, because you see the guy in the video, in your video, Adios Amigo. You see this guy literally Adios Amigo at the end of this song. This guy kind of rolls over and slumps over.
Yeah.
And then I guess there was like a couple high fives that went around in the building.
Well, we were excited, but we also didn't know that the guys in the OP were with us from the squadron were filming at the time. So it would have just been a nice story that we had if we had not had them filming and like actually got the video from those engagements.
So that's where the video came from. You had an OP team recording a sort of recce.
Yeah, and we didn't like, they just had a camera going. We didn't know throughout that entire thing that any of it that day or that week or that day at the end of the day is when we like realized and watched it. We're like, oh shit.
Is that potentially what got you in hot water? Was releasing that, or
no,
maybe a culmination of
the funny thing is the hot water came before the release, but they blamed it on the release, which is interesting. So the hot water that I got in was for one reason. That was because I talked about COVID and the reaction from the unit in the military, and I had tons of meetings before I ever went and did a podcast with guys in the unit, low ranking and high ranking. And the last one I met with became a very high position in the unit, we'll say. His warning, because I wanted to make sure, obviously, like that there was no actual operational security breaches in the stuff that I talk about. And so I talked through, the things I was going to say and what I wasn't going to say. And his last point was, well, if you bring up the COVID stuff, it's like, you will get hammered. And I was like, okay. Don't care. But that's not the part I care about. I care about if there's actually something I'm talking about that's operationally like still relevant as a breach in security. And so that was kind of where the hot water came from. And then they were just kind of trying to find anything. They talked about like, oh, there's a picture with panos. Oh, there was this. And I'm like, get out of here. That doesn't, like, those are on golf commercials. And before I got out of the unit, I asked, I don't even know how many times. I said, look, I'm getting out. I'm getting into music, but I'm going to talk about my military career. I'm going to be posting things on social media. And this is at a time like I was not getting along with the unit because I was getting in a lot of trouble for not wearing a mask everywhere I went. But I was like, I'm still going to get out. If you give me someone, I will send every post to them before I post anything. And they can tell me what they like or what they don't like and how it fits with the picture that the unit's trying to paint. So I'm like, I will run everything social media through this person and then post it on the other end. So like you can have control of the picture of the unit that's going forward. And they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to find someone. And it's like 6 months from retirement. And then like 3 months, I'm like, no one's come to me 1 month out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out. And literally the night I was retiring, I'm like, messaging my warrant. I'm like, look, I've heard from no one. So like public affairs officer, whoever this person is that wants to vet anything social media. I'm like, so if you guys don't care, that's okay. Just act like you don't care after I'm out. And then when I was out and started posting things, everyone lost their minds. I was trying to find a solution for this.
Yeah. It's interesting that you did so much sort of due diligence proactively to make sure that it wasn't going to get anyone's knickers in a knot, and it still did anyway. So the pettiness is not a good look. The clinging to these notions that what we did was in the best interest of everybody. It's like, it's still something that, like I said, these guys reach out to me, they see a show, maybe I know them, maybe they know me through someone else or whatever, but people get a hold of me, and the number of people that have like life altering medical issues or like administrative problems now with their chain of command. Because I knew one officer, a medical officer, very well. And this medical officer had a ton of sort of petty and vindictive administrative measures taken against them, despite the fact that they were a doctor, and wrote a memo, you know what I mean, asking for an exemption with a medical degree and 36 annexes on this memo saying, here's why I don't need this, here's all the research. And basically they tried to destroy this person's career all the way up until right before um, the mandate, quote unquote, sort of got rescinded, even though, as I'm sure you still talk to guys that are in, I don't think they're making guys do it anymore, but they still pretend like it works, and they're still giving it to people before
Yeah.
they deploy. Like, you still, like on your DAG sheet, I don't know what it's called now, but that the sheet that you get all the boxes checked before you go, they still want you to go and get a booster. Like, it's absolutely insane that this is
Wow.
that we're, yeah, man. And anyway, all that to say, like, people are seeing other people come forward like yourself, and it was really inspiring for me to see, especially like, I'm not comparing myself to you by any stretch, but having, like, coming from the same place sort of, and then seeing, okay, well, there's guys there who sort of got it, and it just, like, it put some wind in my sails when I really needed it. So, like,
Good.
definitely appreciate that.
Good to hear that.
Yeah, but we can pivot back here. We don't have to harp on this all day. I kind of want to know, like, you're in Alberta now, you're touring. Like, how long is the tour? Where else are you going? Are you coming back through the States, or are you, like, what's the plan
Yeah,
for
I
the next, I
mean,
don't know, a few
I
months?
say touring. We just are kind of on the road nonstop. It's for me. I have shows booked from now until the end of the year. So then
Oh,
I'll look
wow.
at next year and see. Like I sent a picture, a tour poster to my band last year, and I'm like, this is all the shows we played, and it was crazy. It was from coast to coast in Canada, back and forth twice. It was from like north to south America, all over the southern state. We just like were everywhere, and it was cool to see, like, yeah, because it feels busy, and it's like you kind of forget the town sometimes, and like, where did we go and what the hell. And it's like you're on the road, then you're in the studio, then you're here, and then I'm back in Nashville, and then I'm like here, and it's just, it's cool. It feels like I've been doing it for so long now because we've been to so many places and written a bunch of songs, been in the studio a bunch, but I'm like, it's still pretty new for me. I'm like, I figure out some way to slow down time by just living this crazy pace, I guess. But
Waking up
so
in hotels, not sure where you are from, like,
that has
the
happened
daily.
a lot. And it's not even just like because I burned it down partying or something. I'm just like, okay, what town are we in? Or like, what city? We're supposed to be here. Okay, we're going there tomorrow. Um, but yeah, so touring is just like kind of a nonstop thing for me. Like, we'll take some time off to hit the studio or some time off to do more writing and whatever. But it's just this always, like, every time we play a couple more shows, I'm adding like a couple more on the end or in the middle, or filling in dates that we don't have stuff booked or whatever.
Are the kids, are they school aged? I know you have a
My daughter's 5. We're doing homeschooling with her right now. Probably for the next year, she might hop into something. We're looking at some different schools. I'm not a big fan of like the school system as it is right now. So we do a lot of work with her, and she does, stuff on the side with horseback riding and gymnastics and ballet, and we do some fight classes, and she does all the other reading, writing, and math and all the stuff here at home and creative work. Um, and I think it's good for now. We get to spend more time with her, and it's not someone else. I don't want someone else in these, and especially in the ages where they're learning so much about the world, someone else's opinion to be what's in her ear more hours of the day than ours and our own family. So for now, we're going to keep it as is. Hi. I've got a visitor.
speak of the devil.
Okay, go
Hello.
outside, please.
I
And he's
think,
not old enough to school yet.
so it's just the one, you have a daughter.
No, so
And
the daughter's 5, that boy's 2, and we've got a
okay.
5-month-old boy here, and then I have 2
Okay.
teenage boys that are basically both adults now. So I got 5
wow,
total
okay.
kids. Yeah,
Holy moly, you've been busy.
there's a declining birth rate, and I have to do my part.
So you're a country boy from Alberta. Is it? Did you ever
Alberta.
think you'd get here to do, like, was this what you had imagined? You know what I mean? Coming
Hell
from
no. My entire life, all I wanted to do was play hockey.
Same.
I loved having that as a goal. It fueled me. Like, I just wanted to play hockey. I spent my whole life just trying to get better at hockey. Did a big pivot after my last year of junior hockey, deciding where I was going to go play next. I probably could have played semi-pro somewhere. I had a couple of camps to go to and stuff. And I was kind of deciding I wasn't going to go to the NHL, and then I learned about JTF2 from a guy I was working in the oil field with, and was like, what the hell? I had no idea we had that in Canada. And I remember just this gigantic pivot. And then, through the unit loved it. But then there's some things that came together in my life from like, it was all music. It was just like another big pivot. There's kind of two big pivots. And it was from hockey to wanting to be in special operations. And then from that to wanting to play music. But it was, as a kid, I would have never imagined being like a touring, recording country artist.
From tier one sniper to rock star, yeah, I guess it's not
Yeah, and especially that path. I never thought about the military. No one in my family was in the military. It wasn't like my parents weren't military historian. Like it just was not really part of our lives outside of like Rambo movies and stuff like that. You know.
How old are you?
I turned 43 next month.
Oh, okay, so we're same
age.
age.
It's April. Is it April yet?
Next month. The day before, yeah. So I turned 43 at the end of November. So we're same age. So the guy that informed you about JTF on the rigs, did he end up joining the military as well?
He had done a 4 years contract as a comms guy. So he just knew about the unit. He'd never been there.
Oh, okay.
And then there was rumors that like one guy who was on dispatch used to be an airborne and like went to JTF2. So I don't know. It's like very mysterious. But I just remembered learning about it, and then I was hooked, dude. I was like, I went and watched Black Hawk Down like 100 times, and I'm like, I am joining the military to go to JTF2.
How much times did you spend on the rigs? Like, were you way up in northern Alberta doing?
Yeah, it was mostly like off-season stuff because I played hockey, like junior hockey during the year. So it'd be, I think 2 or 3 years off-season, I would go do different things, like as a mechanic assistant, like way up north, past Fort McMurray, like. And then flush by truck, I was like a swamper. Never any of the skill jobs. It took a long time. It was like when you could just hop in and start doing the work. Those were the jobs I had because I just wanted to go play hockey.
Man, I think hopefully a lot of people are going to hear this. I think you're going to inspire a lot of young people who are kind of slaving away on the rigs up, because that's a tough job. That job is no joke. Like crazy. Compared to the like, I've never done it, but I've had a handful of buddies that went out and did it for money many years ago. And the only thing I could compare it to would be like an infantry career.
Well, yeah, and the lifestyle around it is so austere. Like even the nicest camps, you know, even if you're in a hotel like Rainbow Lake or Zama City, it's like, for me as a young man, I was like, this is terrible, dude. I was trying to work out to play hockey the next year, and like everyone just gets done work and drinks like 48 beers and passes out. It's like there's no women anywhere. I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? But it was good money. Yeah. It's good money, that's for sure.
It's rough. It definitely makes or breaks guys that go, and the ones that stick around make a lot of money, like you said. Yeah, that's wild, man. Like I said, I think a lot of people are going to hear that and realize that this isn't necessarily all they have to offer. And especially guys coming from an athletic background, a lot of guys that I met in the infantry, a bunch of dudes actually that were on course at the unit with me, all came from pretty much hockey backgrounds. I can't remember if there was other athletes. Like if you're Canadian, you played hockey. There's really no other thing.
There's a lot of hockey players worked it for sure.
Yeah, and there's that sort of infamous sort of boxing match that happens at the end there, and everybody was like early on squaring up of like who did they not want to be in the ring with more so than who did they think they might end up in the and there was a dude, and names don't matter, but like there was a big dude there who had a hockey background, and I was like, I think he and I would be a pretty good tilt. I think this is where this is going to go. Maybe I should have more worried about what was coming the next day than what was coming 10 months later. But yeah, man, this has been super fun, dude. Your story's crazy. Your success is awesome to see, like just sort of living this dream and making sure just like taking names on the way. And like, how can more people find you, like get tour dates, like your socials, everything just kind of laid out. So anybody who hasn't heard of you will be able to.
Yeah, I keep everything basically, I have a website, dallasalexander.ca, and then I post everything social media, Dallas Alexander, or I am Dallas Alexander on Instagram. And I like I was saying earlier, I stay pretty on top of social media stuff. I'm just trying to use it less. I want to create and not like be taking in the content and have the algorithm feed my life. But I'm getting all this stuff out there on shows and on tour and all the dates and new music, so you can follow along anywhere.
What are the next, I don't know, handful of dates? Do you have them on the top of your head in case anyone's like, oh, I'm in Alberta, I can catch
I'm doing a run of shows here in Alberta I'm bringing up a couple of songwriter friends from Nashville. I'm doing a thing called Nashville Unplugged, and it's like a songwriter round in Nashville is a very popular thing, and it's songwriters just kind of telling the stories about songs they've written. And a lot of the times, the hits you hear on the radio are not written by the artists that are singing them. And so I love hearing the songwriters tell the stories behind those songs. So I'm bringing up a couple of my friends that are badass, and they've got cuts from everyone from Zach Brown Band to Post Malone to whatever, Tucker Wetmore. And so we're going to play in Longview, Alberta. We're going to play in Water Valley, Alberta. We're going to play in Rocky Mountain House, and we're going to play in Okotoks. So there's 4 shows in 5 days. 1 or 2 of them are sold out. They're all pretty close to sold out. So I don't know when this goes out, but those are the next 4 or 5. And then I'll be on the road opening for Gord Bamford for a few shows in Saskatchewan after that run of shows are done.
Right on, man. This will come out pretty quick, so those will be timely for folks to be able to catch that, hopefully, if there's any tickets left. But yeah, man, I can't thank you enough, again, as an ambassador for D&D, as an ambassador for anybody that has balls, you know what I mean, critical thinking skills. For real though, man, it's like, it means a lot, I think, for a lot of folks that maybe haven't gotten a hold of you or haven't been able to reach out to you. Like, it took me a couple years to get here, but thanks, man. Like, thanks for being here, and just keep doing what you're doing, because some catchy songs, man. Like the music video for Adios Amigo is great. I love the art style, super unique, like a comic book. The way it came together.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Thanks for saying consistent with the emails, because sometimes they get buried, and I'm like, oh my god, what were we? Yeah. So I'm glad we finally made it work out.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Patriotic means looking out for each other and fixing things together.
True patriotism is being in the country you love, surrounded by people you love, and great weather.
Being a patriot is being a part of your community and caring for it.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Patriotism is the one thing we all share.
It's okay to be critical of government and still be a patriot.
It's gratitude to your country.
Of course I'm a patriot. I'm Canadian. It's my home.
Well, actually, true patriot love is the mission.